station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
That's right. Good morning, South Florida. This is your fill-in host. It's not Johnny C. It's Mikey R. Mike Rauch with the mortgage firm. Mike. Jim goes right before he's you be Johnny C. And I blanked. I said I don't even know what he says, but he does something like that. So good Saturday morning, and let's introduce the team. Of course, the ever-present behind the scenes, the voice behind the screen, behind the curtain. It's Jimothy. It's producer extraordinaire.
Hello.
Good morning.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
And of course, we're here as always with the real estate agent extraordinaire. What does he say? The team, the head of the Keller Williams. What's your team name, Jim?
Florida Home Pros.
Home Pros.
Mm-hmm.
Keller Williams.
Florida Home Pros.
Innovations.
Pros of real estate with
right.
AW Innovations.
That's Jimmy D. And he's going to take over now. And it's me. Wait, Mike with the mortgage firm.
Yep, Mike, the mortgage guy. So we've got a little bit of a short crew, but a strong crew today. I'm going to be Jimmy D for a little bit while Mike's Mikey R.
Emphasis on the D. Big D.
Oh, that reminds me of Rob now. Now I'm thinking about Rob with that guy that would call up all the time. I still laugh about that. That makes me laugh. And Johnny still hasn't told me who that guy is yet. Johnny won't tell me ever.
Some radio secrets, you know.
They
just got to keep them in. Otherwise.
They know who he is?
Oh, yeah. Johnny knows.
Johnny does.
Yeah, Johnny knows who they are.
And play a game.
Yeah, they might even be calling, they might even call our show since then and not done the bit that Rob's gone.
I think if Johnny were here, he would tell the people how to watch the show, how to contact us, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true. So if you want, we are live. This is February 8th.
Mm-hmm.
We are live, so you can actually call us up and ask any kind of real estate questions. If you have questions on refi or mortgages, perfect time. We got Mike here. Mm-hmm. And of course, any kind of questions about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or any other kind of questions.
Yeah, we'll take any question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll take any questions.
Sure.
All you got to do.
The Mike's workout routine. I want to know all about that. 877-927-6969. 877-927-6969. I haven't had to field a call here too many times in the past month or two. I think we had one call last week. And one the week before. So come on, keep me busy. I want to have something to do back here.
So give us a call. Show maybe to make those calls.
We love taking your calls. What we have been getting a lot, Jimothy, is people reaching out while they're listening to the show and sending questions through our email system on our Florida Talk Real Estate page, floridatalkrealestate.com. You could just say contact us, and you click it, and it really turns into an email. And they're sending information about it. We had a call last week from April, who needs to sell a townhome, and she's been trying to sell it for a year now.
Wow.
And and the problem is that she has tenants in there.
Okay.
And the realtor was kind of a newbie realtor, and they were bending over backwards with the tenants about, like, the tenants well, we're only going to let you have people come in 1 day a week from this time to this time, and that's it.
Sure.
And I explained to the owner, I said, that you have legal rights to show that property all week long, as long as you give reasonable notice. They have to let you in to show the property as part of the standard regulations for a lease.
And as a standard seller, you would want pretty much someone to come see the home anytime they want it. Right? Like, you'd want to be as flexible as possible for your potential buyers.
while trying to be fair to the tenants at
Sure.
the same time. So that's why reasonable notice must be. You can't call them up at 10 o'clock and say, we're coming over at 12, or just opening up the door without
Right.
asking anybody.
Right.
I'm sure it's written out in some sort of regulation or law somewhere, like 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out
That's
there.
why they use the term reasonable times.
Right, yeah.
So she had no idea about that, and the realtor that they were working with didn't. And if they knew that, they might have been able to get the property sold during that year. So because they hardly had any showings at all. So we're going to be calling her again next week. But those are just kind of the calls that we get off air, about this stuff. So we really appreciate you doing off air. And the way you can contact us off air. Wait a second, Mike. Go ahead and talk for a second. I got to charge up my computer. It's going to die. Hold on.
Got to plug that in.
888-973-7828. That's the number that Jim was just referencing as far as contacting Florida Talk Real Estate off air. Again, you can ask any question there. And even if it's not real estate, if it's mortgage related, if it's real estate attorney help that you need, we have the people that can help you through there. You want to quote on homeowners insurance. You're maybe buying a new construction home and you want to know what your monthly nut's going to be. Homeowners insurance is a big part of that plan. And if you call 888-973-7828, you can get hooked up with Ross at Brightway Insurance in Juno Beach. That's the Brightway office that you need. And he can find out and give you a quote on homeowners insurance as just one way of addressing your insurance needs. By the way, flood insurance, car insurance too. They offer there. My wife and I switched over to Brightway Insurance for our car insurance and saved a bunch of money. Couple $100.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It was well worth the time and investment. By the way, that time cost how much? $0, because Ross will give you a free estimate on that. So it's a great way to find good information to help you make better decisions.
Yeah, and those like simple phone call away, like you can get answers quickly. And Ross will tell you, hey, you're good with what you got. Like you're not going to do any better, or it's not that much better where, apples to apples, you're going to find policy. So those calls are pretty straightforward. You can get to Ross through the number Jimothy's given.
That's a great point too, Mike. I mean, I love the way he says that, because that's the exact terminology that Ross will give you, or one of his, the people that he works with him, is he'll give you, okay, apples to apples, here is your price comparison. Here's something that might be a little bit better for you. It might cost a couple extra dollars, but you'll get this much better coverage, or maybe you can even save a couple of dollars by eliminating a couple things. But he always gives you the apple to apple, the exact same that you have now. Yeah. And it's a great comparison that I love.
You guys are freaking me out right now, because I just remember I told you, I think it was last week or the week before, about how I screwed up and had the traffic ticket and I didn't take care of it to the last minute.
Right.
So all I did was postpone it so my license wouldn't be suspended. And then I forgot to go to the ticket guy to give him the paperwork. And I think I'm supposed to have my court hearing on Monday.
You just remembered that?
Oh my God. You guys were talking about this, and
it
came back. I'm like, oh my God, I've been working too hard.
Do you need a lawyer? Why didn't you do
I do need a lawyer.
Why didn't you do those services that just like take
That's
care
what
of it
I mean.
for you?
I didn't want to say the company, but I just haven't done it yet. I've been busy.
Oh.
So I barely got out of the suspension, and now I'm back into being in trouble again. Oh my gosh.
And you have to drive for a living, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I drove 225 miles yesterday and 200 and something miles the day before. So yes, I drive a lot. Getting back to the people that are calling everything before, I want to use the I know, right? Oh, speaking of which, I think I found out the Clown Killer title for the TV show that's coming on Sundance March 1st.
Okay.
It's on the Sundance channel. It's called Murder at Your Doorstep. I think that's what they're calling the show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And this is
the Clown Killer. Yeah. 3-part documentary on the Wellington Clown Killer from 30 years ago. I was interviewed, and supposedly I'm in this documentary. So I think it's going to be kind of fun just to watch and see what's going to happen. I don't even know how to get the Sundance channel. It's also a British channel. I think ITV.
You're going to get residuals every time it plays?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
No royalty?
Well, when you say you're in it, somebody just mentions that you were investigating it type thing. And so, are they allowed to use your name in that without your permission or knowledge? Because you're kind of presenting.
You interviewed for it, right?
Yeah, they interviewed. So they interviewed me for like 9 hours one day. Well, actually over 2 days. They interviewed me like 9 hours.
I see. All right.
They actually rented out they rented out a home and created like this little studio in a living room so they could interview me. And then I was walking around where one of the suspects in the case, who was never arrested for this murder, he owned a car dealership over by Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard in Dixie. So we were walking around the old car dealership and doing all this stuff. Because I remember when they were raiding the car dealership and there were like 8 million PBSO deputies there, and they were just ripping apart the place looking for documents and evidence and stuff. And we got a tip, so we kind of secretly kind of spied on the police while they were doing it and all that. So it was pretty crazy.
Do you have noticed that, like, how much time you're on screen?
I have no idea. I thought I'd be on the cutting room floor, to be honest with you.
All together?
Yeah, I thought maybe I wouldn't even make this at all. But then they kept bugging me because, I'm Mr. Procrastinator. Not for my customers. I'm like so on time for my customers. But for me, my life
it leaves you no time for it.
Yeah, my whole life is a mess, but my customers are doing great. So
my whole life, there's a t-shirt. My whole life's for my customers.
So they kept asking me for photos from back when I was a reporter 30 years ago, and I'm not a photo guy. I don't take a lot of photos. I'm not one of those selfie people, and I just don't do it.
That didn't even exist back then.
Yeah, and my family's never really been into lots of photos and stuff, right? It isn't like we're always taking like birthdays and holidays and stuff. Maybe a snap here or there, but nothing.
You guys didn't have a what was the guy's name in Superman? The photographer, Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah,
you guys didn't have a Jimmy who was just had a camera everywhere?
I actually had a lot of stuff back in the day, but I can't find him anymore. Like I remember one time there was a police officer. There was a guy that was over by what's the famous hotel by because they changed the name a bunch of times, over in Lantana on Lantana Road in A1A. I think it used to be called it's on the tip of my tongue. It was a famous resort, but they've changed names a couple of times.
I think I know what you're talking about.
De Palm Beach now or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, that place, I remember one of the police officers from Manalapan over there. In Manalapan, they had firefighter police officers. They were cross-trained.
Really? Oh,
yeah, one of the few places in the state where they had cross-training. I always made fun about that because one time a house 300 yards from the police fire department burnt to the ground before they got there. 300 yards away. I'm like, really? That just shows you can't do both well. I guess they're really great cops.
Yeah.
Because the firefighting, not so much.
It's interesting.
That was a long time ago. And 2 people died in that fire. But anyway, there was a person that got was messing around with a shark they found on the beach or something. It was a small like nurse shark. It was probably like 3 feet long or something. Anyway, he thought it was dead. Put his hand in the mouth. I don't know why you would do that. And it wasn't dead. And it clamped on it. And he couldn't get his hand out.
Geez.
Couldn't get his arm out. So a police officer came and he shot the shark in the head like 4 times.
Did you shoot the guy's hand?
No, he didn't, but
they have a small brain, sharks.
Yeah, apparently.
So it's hard to hit the first time.
And he shot it a whole kind of like alligators, right? They have the little tiny like.
Although I think when the bullet hits, it kind of like will mess them up.
Well, what was surprising about that, I don't know what kind of firearm are used. This is the 90s, but the head wasn't like blown to smithereens or anything. You just see like little holes in there. I didn't. So anyway, I had a picture of me holding the shark that was, dead with the bullet holes in it, holding it by its tail.
Can't do that.
And our photographer, Jimmy,
you're Jimmy.
Shot it, but I couldn't find those photos. I couldn't find my press pass. I thought giving him my press pass with my photo on it would be cool.
Sure.
That hotel, Jim, it was the, right now it's called Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting name. Is it? I don't know how to pronounce EAU.
I'm American,
French?
Not French. It's French.
I think it's
Yeah.
It's like a scent, right? Like a smell. But prior to that, it was the Ritz Carlton.
Yep. Oh, then I was thinking
the name you're thinking of is maybe La Coquille Club.
No, I think it was Ritz Carlton when I did it.
Yeah, it was the Ritz.
Pretty sure.
I remember that when we first moved down here.
Yeah. So
I don't know if we stayed there or not, but.
I wanted to talk about, I like talking about creepy critters. So I want to talk about this creepy critter. So a Palm Beach County School Board employee is the creepy critter in this one because he got busted for stealing all that copper from those stadiums. Remember we talked a couple weeks ago?
I don't remember that.
Okay. So a couple weeks ago, 3 Palm Beach House at the time, this is the article from at the time, 3 Palm Beach County high schools had copper stolen from their scoreboards. So all their scoreboards for the sports things, people were ripping out the copper, obviously hawking it, pawning it off.
Why do you need copper in a scoreboard?
All the wiring,
The wiring,
electronic
yeah.
wiring.
Oh, the copper wiring. I'm thinking copper like plumbing pipe.
Oh,
No,
no,
they
copper
ripped out
wiring.
all the wiring?
Yep, ripped out all the wiring. And supposedly it cost them over $750,000, according to this article, for the damage done to these boards. And the week after we announced this, I just didn't get to say it. A week after they announced this in the newspapers, they busted a Palm Beach County school board employee who lived in Boynton, and they went to his house to bust him. And the guy goes, "I know what you're here for. I've been stealing the copper wire and pawning it." And I'm like, that's a good way. As soon as you get caught, it makes it pretty easy where you just confess right away.
It, yeah. He must have been feeling terribly guilty.
They had 20 schools that were hit. It wasn't just 3 that they reported originally. And it was $779,000 worth of copper wire, and 20 different schools were burglarized over the last 2 years. The wire was taken from multiple light poles, electrical boxes, and scoreboards. This guy was working as a temporary employee for 8 months and then got a full-time job in July. And then in July, these thefts started just skyrocketing all the way until January, which is about the time they figured out who he was.
That's a lot of money of wire. It must be thicker gauge. Right?
Well, what we learned from the article, and I think Jimmy helped me with this, is that there's dirty copper and clean copper. Clean copper is it's stripped of everything.
Yep.
Dirty copper is it has the casing over it.
Yeah, the insulation.
Or maybe it's in something that you still got to pull the wire out.
Yeah. Or you were talking about plumbing, right? So you have copper plumbing. So if it's also connected to a piece of brass, like it's been soldered and all that, it's still together, or it's other metals like cast iron, which have very little value compared to copper, right?
Yeah.
If you keep that all together, then it's dirty, right? So they have to clean it. They have to undo
all that stuff. And the reason why I brought it up the first time about the scoreboards being ripped off, it reminded me when people used to break into the ACs and steal all the metal from the ACs during the foreclosure crisis, because there are all these abandoned houses everywhere.
Yeah,
so
and there was also
copper.
There copper coils in there.
Yep, and going inside. Yep.
The house I currently live in, when we bought it,
you had it like
had
that?
copper stripped out of the inside, copper pipes.
Wow, you had the thieves and the dead person in the yard.
Yeah,
you had all of that.
Yeah,
in that one. That house was cursed, man.
It's been okay so far.
Good. Yeah, you guys uncursed it.
I mean, I have gone bald since I moved in there.
So anyway, this guy got busted, and the quote was, "I know why you're here, because I stole copper from the schools." So anyway, he was probably getting about $4 a pound or $2 a pound for this stuff. So even though the damage was $779,000, I'm sure he only got a fraction of that.
Sure.
And how they tracked him down is they started going to scrap yards and trying to find large deposits of copper, right? And a couple of these places, these scrap yards, they had photos of this school board employee in their uniform, bringing in the copper,
Of course. You go to the scrap yards. I've been to a couple, doing various projects.
Done that. Yeah, I've done
they
that.
always ID you. They take photos. Like they have very strict.
They do.
Like they're covering every single transaction, and they're strict about what they buy, because if they get caught buying certain things, like I think there was like manhole covers or something at some point, and
probably catalytic converters.
Oh,
that's you go. There's a huge one right there.
I got mine ripped off.
Did you?
My 1997 Toyota 4Runner, when I was working at Remax Complete Solutions when we started the show. I remember going into the office to do some work. I wasn't there more than an hour. I come back outside, I turn my engine on, and I'm not a car guy. Mike knows that better than anything. And the car started sounding funny. It sounded like a race car or something.
Yeah.
Rum, rum, rum. I'm like, what the hell's going on in my car?
Exhaust.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And then finally, I looked at the hood. I couldn't see anything. Then I went underneath, and I noticed my catalytic converter was gone. They stole that in an hour, because I wasn't there more than an hour.
I've seen them. Yeah, they get in there with the sawzall and boom, boom.
That's all you need.
Done.
Yeah, it doesn't really take all that long. You
Yeah.
especially got a skinny dude and just scoot right under there without a jack or anything.
Forerunner would be a little bit elevated.
Yeah, it was. So it was very easy to get in and get out.
Sure.
The other thing, though, talking about that, Mike, about they take your ID and everything.
Yeah.
Property crime detectives go to those pawn shops and the scrap yards and just check what's going on all the time. It's part of their job. At least when I was a reporter, it was part of their job to go out there and do that. Just stop by and see what's going on over there. So anyway, the guy got busted. Hopefully, no more wire will be stolen. I felt like it was the old days. That's my creepy critter story for the week.
Yeah, it's good he got caught. I guess he would go when the board wasn't going to be in use for a while, like off season.
They said because of his credentials, it was easier to him to get access after hours to the stuff that he was stealing. So
and they didn't expect an inside job, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right.
In a little bit on the break, we still got a little bit of time here. But after the break, we're going to talk about real life stories that are happening right now that our team on this radio show have been helping customers with over the last, just this last week. We're just going to look like a week in the life of the Florida Talk real estate team and talk about our customers and what's happening with them. We're going to be doing that on the flip side. Just wanted to do a shout out to
shout out.
Yeah, well, it isn't like a shout out. It's Southern Living came out with best beaches in the United States, and they said one Florida beach has the clearest waters in the South, and that beach is Jupiter, right? So I just thought that was interesting here in Palm Beach County. They said that the reason why the waters are so clear in Jupiter is because we're so close to the Gulf Stream, and it's, and they were talking about how great Jupiter is to live, which me and Ross were talking about last week, and Ross is always saying, shh, don't tell anybody,
Right.
don't tell anybody, because it is a little different in the north part of the county than it is central or south part of the county, in my opinion. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting that Jupiter has some of the clearest waters according to Southern Living and their survey.
Does Juneau count as Jupiter?
It doesn't, but they also say nearby Juneau Beach is home of the famous Juneau Beach Pier, a 990-foot boardwalk that's a popular spot for fishing and sunset chasing. I know your son Andres goes fishing over there on the pier once in a while.
Tony.
And yeah, that's right, and Tony. And then
Juneau's pretty much the beach we go to.
I was going to say you go there now, right? That's the one you go to. So,
I used to just go straight over to Palm Beach, but that's because it was the closest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why would we go anywhere else? Like Palm Beach is nice, but parking at Palm Beach has gotten a little bit tricky.
It's been a lot tougher.
Yeah,
and they also have a lot of more beach problems.
They also have
erosion
access issues about once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, they do now. Now it's a lot harder to get over there. I saw an article on the Palm Beach Post.
Jimmy doesn't know what we're talking about. It's when Air Force One flies.
Air Force One,
I had a funny feeling you might be referencing the fact that our president is local again. Matter of fact, just this morning as I was walking by, I think it was to come let you in, Mike. They had on the news that he's in town right now, so that'll cause some delays in the traffic because of when Air Force One is
makes that Southern Boulevard bridge over to the island a little bit.
That's when the Palm Beach Post about 3 or 4 weeks ago had a story saying the town of Palm Beachers are up in arms because all the traffic blocking because of security and everything, and then just people coming over just to gawk and things like that, and it's like really crazy over there right now.
I mean, it's pretty cool when you drive on Southern and you see Air Force One parked in the airport.
But you know what bothers me? It is cool. That's totally cool. But you know what I think is crazy? He was there for 4 years the first time, right?
Yeah.
And how they protect that Air Force One is they took a bunch of old school buses and put it in front, so it's kind of like blocking the view of Air Force One, which wasn't blocking the view at all.
I don't know if they're old or not.
Oh, you think they're like usable?
I think that they're part of the active fleet, and then they park them there because it's a good parking spot, and it's dual purpose. No, it's dual purpose. Jeff.
No, it wasn't a good parking spot, Mike, because when Air Force One, when he wasn't president, when Trump wasn't president
you still saw him there?
The buses weren't there anymore.
They're making
only
like
there
a
for
corral.
Air Force One.
Yeah.
Don't you think they could have built something if they're worried about security? Don't you think over time they could have built something there to more than just throwing a bunch of school buses in front of the plane. I think that they should have done something security-wise.
Were you thinking, Mike, along the lines of like the press that's on there uses the buses to go to the
No,
They bring in the buses for security, I'm sure.
I guess like explosives or something, or snipers. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's just a barrier
of some kind. But to me, it's like it's so low rent. It's like, really, that's what you do. Well, we just throw a bunch of school buses out there to protect them.
They could use that strategy at the border.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Make a wall of school buses. Oh, the school bus is there. We can't cross the line now. So anyway, somebody should go over there and make that a little more secure, in my opinion. But it is cool driving by and seeing the Air Force One is very cool.
They haven't had any problems, so it's worked.
No, thank God. I'm not going to wood. Thank God.
It makes you wonder too how much surveillance they have around that area.
Sure,
I mean, because again, I know what you're talking about, because his private jet is always over there, even when he wasn't president.
Right.
You know, like when in between the 4 years. So anytime you go out southern, you can see the Trump jet, and he's still a high he's a high value target or whatever you want to talk about. Even when he doesn't sit in the position of president. So it made you wonder, I mean, what would it take for somebody to do something just from southern, and get in there? You drive into any one of those aviation areas, that's not secure until you get like to the inside.
Normally, I would say like you trust the Secret Service.
Yeah,
Secret Service has it all covered, but there was that one incident.
Yeah, multiple.
Twice. Two,
especially the one in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Hopefully they've tightened up their game. Yeah. But what were you talking about? The beaches. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to switch over to just a little bit of good news. And when I say good news, it isn't like tremendously good news, but hey, it's a glimmer of hope. We're moving in the right direction. We're moving forward. About insurance, and we'll talk about this more when Ross comes next week.
I saw something.
But there's another company that's coming into Florida, and they are very interested in insuring homes in our area.
Yeah.
So we lost the most insurance companies ever over the last couple of years, so that they're coming back is a good thing. So we're hoping. And here are some of the results of having these new regulations, plus the new corporations that are coming back.
And you saw the rate cuts on citizens policies?
No, what do you
didn't see that headline?
No, what's that?
Excuse me.
That's good. What's that?
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Wednesday said that many South Florida customers of the state Citizens Property Insurance Corp will receive rate decreases this year. 2025.
Nice. Okay, I have to look that up. I didn't see it. Thanks, Mike. Did they say what percentage? Like 2%?
Average decrease
5%?
will be 6.3%.
Wow, so that's significant, right? I mean,
I think people take anything at this point.
Yeah. Sure. It's kind of like when you're at the blackjack table. If it's a push and you get your money back, it's a win, right? So anything you get money coming back to you is a win. That's the way
it says here, Broward County. So any homes in Broward County with Citizens will get a average rate decrease of 4.5%.
Okay, so at least we're seeing it flattening out. We're still seeing that flattening out of price increases, and now we're actually seeing decreases, which will be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, what we saw is the prices weren't going up as fast as they were the year before. If we actually see declining prices, that would be really, really nice. We need that little bit of a break. Speaking of break, let's take a break on the flip side. What we're going to talk about is all the things that this team has done over the last week or so. And obviously it's more than a week, but I just want to show you what a week in the life of the Florida Talk Real Estate team is about, and who's using us and who's asking what and who's asking for our help and how we're helping them.
All right.
We're going to do that on the flip side.
That sounds good. 877-927-6969, 877-927-6969. You got a mortgage question, we got the guy for you. You got a real estate question, we got the guy for you there too. Also, what Jim just laid out, we're going to talk to on the other side of this break, right here on Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7 on the Treasure Coast.
We're everywhere you need to be. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Here's what's happening with the weather on Real Radio.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with CBS 12 News. Mostly sunny today with temperatures in the low 80s this afternoon with an onshore breeze. Then a few passing clouds tonight, still mild with temperatures in the 60s by Sunday morning with a chance of patchy fog. Warm through the end of the weekend with afternoon highs in the low to mid 80s by Sunday afternoon.
This report is sponsored by True Green. True Green. Get a golf course quality lawn that's more affordable than you think. Don't wait. Visit TrueGreen.com today and let the pros handle the work while you enjoy the results. That's TrueGreen.com. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DiPaola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's right. This is Florida Talk Real Estate, the number one real estate show, number one information provider, all things real estate in Florida, every week for 13 years for 2 hours every Saturday live. And then it turns into reruns on the iHeartRadio app, on the Florida Talk Real Estate channels for YouTube and Facebook. And then, of course, we're always live on air for 92.1 and 101.7. Welcome to our show. If you want to call and have any questions for Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm, hey, Mike, how's it going today?
Good morning.
Give us a call. All you got to do is call 877-927-6969. If you want to talk to us off air about something that you consider private or you have questions about and feel like calling us later, all you have to do is call 888-973-7828. I know that's a lot to remember, so just remember this: Florida Talk Real Estate. Google it. We're everywhere. You can contact us in a million different ways.
And they can watch me live right now on YouTube and Facebook. And here comes, there's Jimothy.
Yeah, I didn't notice that
Didn't
the
have his
camera's on Move. It's a mover thing.
It followed him out, didn't follow him back in.
Yes, exactly. And Jimothy's here, our producer, who actually is kind of like mini Johnny C today. How are you doing, Jimmy?
I am doing
good?
mighty fine, Mr. D.
Mighty
and
fine. My
Mr.
favorite kind of pudding.
Mr. Rauch.
Remember Mighty Fine Pudding? You
No.
probably don't remember
No.
that.
I don't.
That was a pudding mix box that you had with. Anyway, it's a long story. Pudding.
Interesting. Have to look
You
that
never heard
up.
of Mighty Fine
No,
Pudding either?
no.
Oh, that was a
I
brand
tell
name.
you what, I've only ever heard of Jello pudding, I think.
Yeah, there was a brand called Mighty Fine, MYT Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, Mighty Fine.
JELL.
I wonder who bought him up.
I don't know. I don't even know if it's still around.
Yeah.
I'm so old. Who knows? So I wanted to go over. As I was trying to do the show prep for this week. And by the way, Johnny's not here this week. He's just feeling a little under the weather. Everything will be fine. I'm wondering if he's just really getting ready for the Super Bowl party. But he
Is
said
he
he couldn't
hosting
make
this
it this
year?
week. Yeah, he's hosting the Super Bowl party this year. So we'll see him next week. I hope you feel better, Johnny. And Ross will be back next week also. Just wanted to give you some ideas of like the people that call us and what they ask us about and how we end up helping them. I thought there'd be a couple of little teachable moments and make people go, hey, that's the thing I need. And maybe I should give them a call.
Mm-hmm.
So the first person I want to do is a little bit of a shout out is to Cisco and Michelle. I'm going to be selling their house in Copper Creek in Port St. Lucie. It's a newer construction home. I think it was built in 2020. It's 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-story home with a very low HOA in a gated community. So thank you so much for trusting us. We just took that listing yesterday, so it'll probably be on the market in about 10 days.
Do you know ballpark what's the price point?
Let me see. We're putting the house on the market for $430,000. I had to do that
You
off
said
my memory.
four bedroom?
4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-story, 2020 construction. Not bad. Not a bad price.
It's a baby.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yep.
That sounds good.
Yep. And I wanted to give a shout out to Mike, which is the father of Michelle. And Mike, I helped Mike and his sister Diane sell a property also in Port St. Lucie. I think it was 2023, but it could have been 2022. No, it wasn't 2022. It was 2023. So anyway, we helped Mike sell a house that he needed to sell. He was a great customer to work with. Really enjoyed working with him and fun to talk to him when we do. And he said, you know, my sister, my daughter, and my son-in-law need to sell. So thank you for trusting us. We're going to have that house on the market in about 10 days. Another customer, Shane and Angela, they own a company called Pest Smart. I don't want to say it like the chain. Pest Smart, like a pesticide company.
Not the pet store.
Not the pet store.
Pest Smart.
Yeah, Pest Smart. And
it's a tough one to say.
And I've always had a what do you call it? A speech impediment, so that I'm having a hard time saying.
No,
Pest
that's a tough one
Smart.
because you have a pest.
And then S again.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, Pest Smart. But they've been around in the county, actually not just the county, but they've been around, I think, 30 years or longer, the company.
Okay.
They have a really nice, fully upgraded 1-1 condo in North Palm Beach on the Intercoastal in a community where you can rent and buy boat docks. They don't have a deeded boat dock with this particular unit, but it is so nice. They upgraded everything. Small unit, it's only 720 square feet, but you're surrounded by water all the time. And down to North Palm, we just talked about that, I think, last week, Jimothy, right? Saying North Palm was one of the safest places for seniors to live.
Yes.
Right.
I do believe it was on a list that you were reading off.
Yep. And so this is a really great 1-1 waterfront condo in North Palm Beach. You can't rent it out for the first year, but after that, you can turn it into a rental. How we got Shane and Angela is Shane has listened to our radio show, and then Shane came to us to sell that condo in 2022. But we also put it up for rent, and we got such a great rental situation. It was so profitable that they said, we're going to take it off the market and turn it into the rental. And now it's time to sell it again. So we're going to go out and try to sell it. And also, I wanted to give a shout out to Shane because Shane referred me to another really nice waterfront condo that we have in the 55 over community on Singer Island. We're going to be doing an open house next Saturday. Chris Peterson, a new Keller Williams agent, and one of my former customers is going to be, I think you've talked to Chris already.
Yeah, sure.
And Chris is going to be doing the open house for us next Saturday. So
Wonderful.
he'll be on the air to talk about it. That's a 2-2, fully renovated, brand new everything. Appliances never been used before. I don't even know if the toilet's been used at this point. I mean, everything is brand new in this 2-2 condo. And it has a boat slip that could take a 22-foot boat
Oh, wow.
as part of it. And so that does have the deeded dock. And we have that one at $559, which is very reasonably priced to have a deeded boat dock and a brand new everything unit. So thank you, Shane, for referring those people out. And thank you for allowing me to sell your condo this year. Then I wanted to give congratulations to Roberto Yanelli. They have done so many different things with the Florida Talk real estate team. So Roberto Yanelli came to us in 2018. We helped them buy their home up in Port St. Lucie. Mike was the mortgage broker for it. Ross was the insurance guy. Tried and title closed them. And our team, the Florida Home Pros, helped them find the property.
What the whole got the whole gang.
Everybody was used in that one. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Nope, they didn't hire any of our contractors that we used whatsoever. I was wondering if they had that too. But they
didn't need Crasker.
No,
although
no
Trident, there's a tie in there.
Yeah, Trident and Crasker are kind of close. And so they did what I call the Grand Slam. They used all 4 of our services. They were really, really happy. So now it was time to sell because Roberto got a job relocation and he told me to sell his house fast, right? But I also didn't want to because he was a first-time home buyer when he bought that house. So I didn't want him to sell it fast and low. I just needed to sell it fast because I didn't want him to leave too much money on the table because that money is going to be used when he moves up there to buy a new home, which he'll be going to Mike in a few months to buy the new home after he gets adjusted up there. So I wanted to do something while we have the thing because Roberto is signing the documents today to close. And I just want to see, remember I kept talking to you guys about the 3 other properties that were for sale right around Roberto's house?
Yeah, the angry neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they were all Keller Williams.
Yeah, they're all Keller Williams agents. And let me see. Okay. So the one across the street,
they weren't angry until Jim came along. And sold a home faster than them.
Yeah, it was a little crazy. Oh wow, I can't believe this. One of them, wow, is it pending? If it didn't go pending,
is this live research?
I'm doing live research right now. One of them's still on the market. The one across the street from us, it was on the market 148 days, still on the market. Ours is pending. And the other one, it went expired. The other one went expired. So we're the only one. So out of the 3 properties, ours went pending. One went expired. One's still on the market. It's had another price drop since they started out at, this house is a brand new construction, but it's almost the same size as ours and everything. It started out at $695 and now they're down to $649 for theirs. So
little softening. We're seeing that kind of softening, I think, across the board, Jim. Just
but and it's true, but the thing is that's interesting about ours is when we put ours on the market, the other 2 that were very similar to ours that were on the same street, one right next door to us, they were at $389 and $399. And they all were on the market over 100 days and they had multiple price drops. So we put ours at $385 and we sold it in 12 days and we got full asking price for it.
And you're not that much lower than what they wanted, right? You're off 10 grand, something like that.
How much does your mortgage cost for 3 months? Right? Do you think in a $400,000, $500,000 house that well, $400,000 house.
When
3
did you
months.
get your mortgage?
I know, but I'm just saying, we got 5,000 less than the 389, right? That's asking 389, right?
Yep.
And the other one was 399, so we got roughly 15,000 less than that. But both of them have been on the market forever,
Right. So they're carrying costs.
and there's carrying costs plus they're probably not going to get the full list price.
Yeah, I mean the carrying cost is kind of a funny one if you're just talking about the house, but assuming you sell, like Roberto as an example, he's got new housing obligation, renting or whatever he's doing as he's in the relocation.
Right.
So you have to pay those costs, housing costs, one way or the other, most of the time.
Oh, I see what you're saying in a way, yeah.
But as a direct comparison, it's like, yeah, well, you could sell it now or sell it 6 months from now.
If you're at 399 and you've been on the market 120 something days or longer, you've had 3 price drops, and you see your neighbor have your house sell in 12 days for 15,000 less. Maybe you need that extra, and you're just holding out, hoping you're going to get it.
So, what's the protocol on that expired listing? Is that something where the enterprising real estate agent makes a call and says, "Hey, you guys weren't successful"?
Well, I do specialize in selling houses that didn't sell the first time. I actually say that. But I don't know. I'm pretty busy right now. I don't know if I want to chase people that don't seem that motivated to sell. That don't seem that motivated to sell right now because I'm a little busy. So we'll see. Well, maybe I'll circle back to them.
Well, having experienced going through the process of selling a house with you, Jim, the one thing that I can say that stood out to me, one of the bigger points that stood out to me was staging and how important the staging process is, decluttering your house, brightening it up, just by changing light bulbs. I mean, a simple, small amount of investment to put in just to make it look that much better made such a difference in selling my house.
Did you switch? I don't remember, Jimmy. Did you switch out the yellow light bulbs to the more sunlight light bulbs like I recommend?
That's what you recommended was sunlight.
It makes a big difference. It makes a super big difference. A lot of people have more of a I'm colorblind, okay? So it's hard for me to know for sure.
Yeah.
But it's more like a yellowish color, like a more yellow color.
Yep.
And then the light bulbs that are either called natural light or sunlight light bulbs, those have a more white color.
Yep.
Those come across way better in photos when you shoot the photos than the yellow.
And also when you walk in, right?
Yeah.
I could see it. Like the yellow, that's old school, right? I would say the white is the more modern look. So the yellow can look a little, it's just a different feel.
Yeah, and if your house is dark naturally, then you got a problem, right? Like Jimmy's house, your house was a little dark, right? It was a little bit, dark, right?
We didn't have a lot of lighting in the house.
There wasn't a lot of windows. There wasn't a lot of big windows that were letting a lot of light in, right? So having your light, electric light, to make a difference, to brighten up the house makes such a huge difference. Huge. And what people don't understand is that the first showing is not when they turn the doorknob at your house. The first showing is at midnight while they're in their pajamas and they're click-clacking on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and trying to find the house that they want. Those photos and the presentation, not just the photos, but the 3D Matterport and the layout. We have a layout just like if it was a developer to show you how the layout of the house is. And all of that all really, really matters a lot. And really choosing your photos. Sometimes I choose not to do aerials. Everybody thinks, oh, you got to do the drone. You got to do the drone. Well, not necessarily. If your roof looks pretty beat up,
don't do the drone.
Don't do the drone, right? Even if the house, you're not trying to hide anything, right? You're not trying to, if it's got a bad roof, you got a bad roof and disclose it. But sometimes there's been a patch here or there. It doesn't look good, but it's fine and it'll meet useful life and everything.
You might have a neighbor whose yard isn't as well kept as you would want.
Exactly. If the next door neighbor, they got 3 jalopies in the yard and grass that's 1.5 feet tall. You don't want that in the drone. So just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. So you really have to be selective. And another thing is I've been noticing is some realtors, when they get 35 photos, this is how they do it. Front of the house, front of the house, front of the house, front of the house, living room, kitchen, dining room, multiple pictures of each, right? And they go from room to room to room. But that isn't really the best way to catch somebody's attention when they're on a computer looking at the photos, and they're clicking through the photos really fast to see if they like your house. So for
Don't
one
give
of the
away all your secrets here, Jim.
well, one of the things I did was I just did this with one of our houses. We took the best front yard picture, but instead of going right to the living room, because the living room was kind of bland, it wasn't bad. It was just a room, but it had a big pool table in it. So what we did is we really focused on the family room, which was really the gathering place for the house, and it had a fireplace and a wet bar. So even though you walk in, the first room you see is the living room in real life. That isn't the first pictures
Right.
we want you to see. So we right away showed, look at this great entertainment family room. Look at this great pool, because they have an awesome pool in the backyard. And like we started with the pool, then we started going and showing other parts of the house. So selecting how the photos go makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you're writing a story, you're taught as a journalist to make the most important stuff up front. It's called inverted pyramid style. So the most important facts are at the top of the story, and the least important facts are at the bottom of the story.
Okay.
So that when people are reading fast, they can get this stuff real fast.
You give them the executive summary up front.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of.
almost like now they have the AI for the articles where you can click a button and it tells you, it'll give you a summary of the article, and that's
Yeah.
what it does. It inverts it pyramid style,
Mm.
inverted pyramid style. So having that point of view, you're marketing a property when you put that on the MLS. So you really gotta do it the right way, and doing these little things. I felt bad one time though, Jimmy. Those light bulbs can be expensive, and I had no idea. And I had this one family a long time ago where um, they decided they were going to change. They took my advice and they changed every light bulb in the house, which made the house look so much better. But they spent like $300 for light bulbs.
Oh, wow.
If you're
Okay.
doing,
And I was like, oh my
I didn't
gosh,
really, that's quite a few.
it was
All right,
expensive.
all right.
if you stay incandescent, it's not expensive. You can get the white
Ah.
light, the bright white. But if you switch over to
LED.
all LEDs, that's where it's going to cost you.
Can you still
Ah.
get incandescent? I
I
didn't
feel
even
like
know you
can.
could.
Yeah, I think you can.
That's pretty
Yeah,
well.
you got to
So-
know a guy who knows a guy.
Oh, okay. One
No,
of those.
No, I think you just
fell
you
off
just-
the truck. Huh?
You walk into the right aisle at your
Right,
local hardware
right.
store. I think they still have them, but maybe they're slowly being phased out.
So
Yeah. Well, I can understand where that can be, especially if you're talking about 300. I mean, we certainly didn't experience that. Now,
Yeah.
Again, for our house, it made a bigger difference too because it was small.
Mhm.
So when you're trying to take 1,000 square foot house and make it look a little bit bigger, which is what you do,
Mhm.
and again, the decluttering helps with that. It wasn't that much for us in our particular situation, but it ended up, I think, really benefiting us, especially with getting asking price, or I think just below. I mean, we were right there.
We
so,
were right there, and
Yeah.
it was so fast. And
Yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
you were
With
selling, you were
4
buying
days.
on the
Yeah.
back end, so we needed to be
Yeah.
locked in so you could move forward to the next chapter of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Macro.
Roberto and Yanelli, they're not done with us yet. So we helped them buy the house. Now we help them sell their house.
Yep. Talked about the timing on the next purchase.
So Mike is going to be the mortgage broker when they buy, but they're not going to buy right now. What's going to happen is they found a really nice rental property. They work with an agent. I think they work with an agent we referred to, maybe not. No, he found it on his own. And then what's going to happen is he'll stay there. And about 9 months from now, we're going to start getting him ready for the new mortgage.
Yep.
And then he'll go buy something next year. So really looking forward to helping them.
And even if you didn't have to do it that way, Jim, when you're relocating to a new area, it's kind of, you either have to really trust your real estate agent to show you like, hey, these are the areas that fit your criteria and you're going to like it. Or you just go and then you figure it out. Like you live there for a little bit and say, hey, you know what? We thought we wanted to live over here, but we actually like this town a little bit better, or this
Right.
area, better than the others. And this is where the homes are that we can afford, things like that. So
Mhm,
I don't mind that
absolutely.
just as a general strategy when you're
Yeah.
relocating. Of course, I like buying too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like that right away. We've done both. We've had people rent for a little while and then come back to us, and we've had people that bought right away. The people that bought right away, most of them that I've talked, well, I should say all of them. I haven't heard any negative feedback, but the ones I've talked to constantly after they moved, they seem very satisfied where they moved to because we really vetted the agent they were working with. So it wasn't that the agent was just in production for those kind of people,
Right.
meaning that they're in high production, but also that they lived there a long time.
Right.
So I wanted people, it's like, oh, I was born and raised in this city. and I know every pocket of the city and that they're in production too.
You kind of have to be able to say, hey, Jim, you're whatever age, single dude, but can you, like, if you were a family man, where would you want to be? Right? Like if you had our family, you were the dad, where would you want to be in? So you're looking for an agent who approaches things.
It's kind of like
that.
in downtown Lake Worth. I remember one time I was looking for a property for one of our buyers, and we scheduled to go see the property during the time that school was being let out. Well, we didn't realize that the school entrance was right at the end of the street where this guy's house was. And his house was like 3 doors away from the cross street that you would get into the school. So all the families would line up, and you couldn't get out of your driveway. Like if you went there and the line started getting too long, there were like 10 cars and, blocking your driveway, and you couldn't ask the car in front of you to move because there were 9 other cars behind them, and they all would have had to move backwards for you to get out of your driveway. So you're stuck there until school's out.
And there's a whole row of driveways. So it's not like they can leave space for cars to come in and out of the driveway, right?
Right. And so you're kind of trapped there. So those are like little details that you won't know as a consumer. If you didn't go at that time and you went at 5 o'clock at night, you would have had no idea at all that there would have been a problem. But if you have a realtor that really knows the area and the neighborhoods and the pockets of the neighborhoods, you can try to avoid those little things that'll drive you crazy later.
What do you say? It's street by street sometimes.
Street by street, block by block.
Yep.
Also want to do a shout out to Chris and Amy. Chris and Amy have worked with us before. Mike helped Chris and Amy get their mortgage about 2017 or something to buy their house in Palm City. We helped them sell 2 homes back then, the house that they were leaving to buy the new home and one other house. And now we sold their rental property. They built that house in Port St. Lucie. It was a 4-bedroom, either a 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no pool. Port St. Lucie, built in 2007. They built it from scratch, turned it into a rental property, did very well with that. We sold the house. We didn't get exactly what he wanted. We were off by 1% of his number that he had in his mind.
Okay.
But when the house didn't appraise, you got to do what you got to do. So we were off by 1.2% or something. He was so happy when we closed on Friday.
How low was your appraisal?
Well, I can give real numbers now. So we put the house on the market for $425 originally.
Okay.
And then what happened was we got a buyer who said, we want to buy it for $425, but we want 15 back.
Okay.
So that was really $410, right? Because we're giving 15 back. But Chris really wanted $415 purchase price. So he said, let's pull it up to $430 and then give him back 15. And that way I get my $415. They get their 15 back. I said to Chris at the time, Chris, one thing you have to understand is that the house has to appraise for the $430. And these buyers need the money. Right. So if the house doesn't appraise, they're still going to need the money. So if the house appraises, I told him at the time, $410, you're really going to get $395 because they're still going to need the 15.
Yep.
So he said, oh, don't worry about it. I think the house is going to appraise. I thought it would too.
Or close enough.
We didn't.
Oh.
It came in at 407.
Oh.
So, and we were at 430. So that was a huge difference. So then the family said, we still need the money. And I'm like, well, you don't need 15 anymore because you're not buying it for 430. So what do you really need? So they crunched their numbers and they came back and they said, we need, I don't remember what they needed, but the bottom line is he was going to net 412 at the time, right? He was going to net 412 and he didn't want to do that. He really wanted the 415. He was mad it didn't appraise. We fought the appraisal. Didn't work. We lost. Put the house back on the market at 415.
Oh, that deal
died.
Really?
Right? That deal died. So then we put the house back on the market. We got that buyer in about 8 days, right?
Yeah.
So we put it back on the market, got another buyer in less than 8 days.
Let me tell you something
Well,
about
wait,
that.
let me just tell you the funny part. So what do you think the buyer offered?
415.
407.
Oh.
Exactly what the house appraised for. That's why I called you. I said, can other mortgage brokers find out what the house appraised for? because they came in exact appraised value. And I'm like, they know something. And you said that they probably didn't know anything. It was just
It would be difficult. Yeah, it would be difficult. But it was 407 exactly.
Exactly. I just thought that was weird. So
I mean, the question was like when you do an FHA, because it was an FHA loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you do an FHA appraisal, that appraisal, if the lender does what they're supposed to do, will stick to that home, right? And you essentially have that appraisal attached to that home for the next 90 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's 120 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 90 days. So there is a mechanism where the appraisal is logged and attached
to the property
in what's called FHA connection. So it's an FHA database that has that information. But how do you access that before like you're even in contract on a home? Like it would be very, very like someone would really have to know what they're doing to get access to that data. But
so just to continue with that story. So what happened was Chris said to me, and I was very curious too. It's like, I wonder what the appraisal is going to be on the second time.
Now you're doing a conventional loan, right? Not FHA.
We were doing I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Because if the second one was FHA, they would be using the original
then it
appraisal.
must have been. I don't remember which way it went, but what happened was, it probably was conventional, Mike. But what happened was Chris is like, I'd really like to know what that appraisal was. I know it doesn't matter. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it to this person for the price we agreed to. I go, I want to know too, but the buyer does not have to give the appraisal to the seller. All they have to do is say the house appraised, and we're done.
We're good on value.
Right. And usually that's the way it is, because usually the buyer side doesn't want to tell the seller side if the house appraised for more.
Especially then.
Right. They don't want to do that because they get nervous, even though nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you don't want that sentiment
bad
out
taste
there.
in your mouth. Yeah.
It's much better that the buyers get the sense that they got a good deal and just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, from your perspective.
Yeah, exactly. So I think from everybody's perspective.
So I called up the realtor before the closing, and I said, can you please tell us what the appraisal is? I'd love to see the report.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't going to affect my seller. My seller isn't going to get mad, even if it appraised at the number that we wanted originally.
Right.
We just really want to know. And I want to know because I did that dispute. And I brought up properties, and if they used my comps,
you would have got there.
Yeah. And I wanted to know if I was way, way off, or if I had a crazy appraiser on the first one, which I kind of feel like I did at that one. So she said, well, I'll ask the buyer if it's okay to give you the appraisal. And then she never got back to me. But I'm going to bug her next week, and I'm going to say, it's over now. We closed.
Yeah. What was the number?
I really need the number. You got to tell me the number. I'm like so curious. But anyway, so appraisals really matter.
So do I.
And that's the first time I've had an appraisal problem in a couple of years.
Can I talk about that 15,000 and why the buyers still need it? So you had the 430 purchase price. It came in at 407, right? So it's a $23,000 difference. And the question is, well, why does the buyer still need 15,000, right? Because they're getting help because their cash position. Well, that $23,000 swing, they're really only bringing on an FHA loan 3.5% of that. Like, so their cash requirement only got reduced by 3.5% of $23,000,
which is like $700 or something.
Yeah, so it's
$23,000.
69. Yeah, $690.
$200
right.
a point.
So their cash requirement it reduced less than $1,000. So that's why they still need the 15,000. So whether you're buying a 400,000 or 430,000, the cash isn't changing that much between those two figures.
So,
which is why that seller credit is really critical in getting buyers, with low down payments over the hump. Right?
But people have to know that sellers need to know if you agree to seller's concession. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. If you agree to seller concession and the house doesn't appraise,
you got to renegotiate.
You got to renegotiate again. And your realtor should be asking the buyer's agent, what happens if the house doesn't appraise? I just had that conversation with another realtor on another house. We're given a seller concession. And because of what happened with Chris, I said, well, what happens if the house doesn't appraise? And the realtor, and I like this realtor, but the realtor, his answers were really, really not well thought out. Well, I think the house is going to appraise.
Right.
I think Jim, look, I know the house is going to appraise. And I go, I don't want to say the guy's name. I go, sir, I totally understand. I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm not trying to be negative. I want to have a plan that if something happens, that we don't go into all panic mode and lose our religion because, what's going to happen with this?
Right.
Are you guys, because I think my sellers, what will happen if the house doesn't appraise, the first thing they're going to say is, let's back out of this seller discounts we're giving you.
And then the buyer's like, but we need that. We
Well,
can't close
in this case,
without
they
it.
really don't.
Right.
So
that
this
makes a
one, they
difference
don't.
too.
They just want it.
Sure.
So, and in this case, the seller concession is less than 1% of the whole deal.
Yeah.
Like Chris's, it was 3%. Right?
Actually, if you think about it like this, like with the lower sales price, and assuming the seller's paying the real estate commission, let's call that something like 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you reduce the price of the home, he's saving 5% of that
That's
reduction.
True. Yes. Yeah.
So who cares if you give it back to the buyers, because they're less than your 5%. They only needed the 3.5%.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Interesting.
So
crunch the numbers there.
Mhm.
So now here's another great call, and we've been talking to Michael for a while now. He called us, I think, started last year or the year before. It says he's going to move in 2026, so he's calling us years in advance.
Yeah.
But he's getting up there. I don't mean up there because he's around my age, but he's going to be retiring, and he wants to move from New York, and he wants to move somewhere in Florida. He doesn't know where in Florida. I'm trying to help him narrow down the regions. But
he mentioned to me the wife was done with winter.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
I said I hear you.
And Michael's a great guy, and I love talking with him. And so he's wondering how he's going to be a seller buyer. Selling in New York, needs the proceeds from the money there in order to buy in Florida. And I told him, that's what we specialize in. Don't worry, we got you covered. I already got him an agent up in New York to meet him at the house, look at the property, give him an idea what the house is worth, even though that was last year, and it's going to be so different by the time he wants to sell. But he loved the realtor at the time, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he'll use that person when he's going to sell it. But then he wanted to know if there's a way that even if he hadn't sold his house, can he get access to all the equity he has in his house to put a down payment or purchase a house here? So I said, hey, you need to talk to Mike. There's a thing called a bridge loan, and there might be other things I don't even know about. And then send them over to you. And then 2 or 3 days later, he sent me a message back. I talked with Mike. He's awesome. Thank you so much. Love watching, listen. He watches on YouTube.
No, he listens to the podcast.
Oh, no way. I thought he was a YouTube guy.
He found the podcast. I was like, I'm curious. So you live up there. You're not in our broadcast area. Like, how did you come? He said, I just found you guys on a podcast one day, and I've been listening since. And excellent.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
He had
what did you, without getting into personal,
well,
what's
let's take
the overall
the simple scenario is like, hey, we're relocating to Florida, we're going to sell up here, we're going to buy down there, and you're like, okay. But then you start throwing in things like, well, we buy down there, we want to buy new construction, so not a home that's on the market now, but we're going to contract with not like it's not like yours, Jimothy,
not a spec home. They wanted to do a custom.
They want to buy in
home.
a neighborhood. They want to buy in a whatever gated community or just a neighborhood. But those contracts can be long term, right? And maybe anywhere from 6 to 12 months, maybe 4 months, whatever. So that threw a little wrinkle in there. Oh, and ideally, I'm going to stay up here for some duration, right? So we want to buy down there before we sell this home. Wife's coming down. I'm going to stay here, and then we're going to do that. So it's just like these little wrinkles in there, and that as it's developing. But yeah, we had a good conversation. He's got a good game plan. We talked about contingencies, so he's kind of got like plan A, plan B, plan C even.
Right.
Probably only plan C would involve me doing a loan. So the first ones we talked about, Jim, is one of those stories where I'm like, hey, listen, this is this is the best case scenario for you. Who cares? Like if he's doing a home equity product, because he owns that home. He's got good.
Yeah, he has a lot of equity on it.
So,
yeah.
So he's in a good position, and he's well out in advance. And I think maybe the biggest benefit to like him having access to us is just, this is a lot of things that are not his profession, like not his world, right? And so you can get a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of moving parts, and they do have moving parts. And so it's just nice to get a professional opinion, even if it's backing up kind of what you sensed in the first place, which is I think it will work this way. But tell me about that. Is there any gotchas, any things we need to be thinking about?
And the best part of what I've been watching over the last 6 months or so is everything we created. There's so many people that we're helping, and Michael, how much Michael L, the person that I'm talking about, not you, Mike.
Yeah.
How much did you charge him for that consultation?
Nominal fee. Nominal
meaning zero.
Yeah.
So we give advice for free, and then if it makes sense to use us, then you do. And that's
sometimes you get what you pay for, but also you can get.
Hopefully, you get
Michael's
more
like,
than you
wait
pay
a
for.
second, Mike. None of this stuff we talked about is working. No,
but
it's gonna work.
Yeah, and the thing is the other thing that's great about working with us. If you're a busy person, like I'm busy in my career, right? So like I can't deal with traffic tickets, right? So I have a hard time trying to deal with that, right? People's like, oh my God, I have to do something with my house, or I got to do something with my insurance, or I really need a refi, or whatever, right? And there's like, oh, then I have to go down that rabbit hole, start making all these calls. People aren't going to call me back. I'm going to get 10 different opinions. Nobody's going to give me the same answer, all that. And you could avoid all of that by just picking up the phone or reaching out to us on our webpage and say, hey, Jim, like April did last week, I think I want to sell my townhome. I had a problem with it. It was on the market for a year. I really need help on what I need to do next. And then that's all. Right? That doesn't mean I'm going to work with her for sure, or you're going to work with her for sure. But what's for sure, she can call one place and get all those different trades, if you will.
Yep.
Refis and mortgages at your fingertips, and HELOCs, and understanding down payment assistance and student loan debt. Right? All of that stuff. One phone call. You can find out about how to sell your house or buy your house or invest in a house, all in one phone call. If you have title problems or questions about title, or setting up yourself as you retire to make sure that when you pass, your family members aren't going to have real estate headaches to deal with, and you need to set up everything to make it right. We have that with the law office of Pauly Krasker. If you got title problems and like
you got credit challenges, like we can talk about that. You get a professional set of eyes on that, not credit repair, right? Just like credit analysis and a good plan for credit optimization.
I don't even remember the last time that we sent anybody to a credit repair company, because what we found out in the long run, a lot of people don't really need the credit repair company. They just need the right advice on what to do.
Yeah.
And there's most of the stuff you do is not fixing your bad credit. It's building up your good credit.
Yes.
And I didn't learn that till I was with Mike for a long time. I used to, we used to use a couple credit repair companies, and didn't really see great results from it all the time. Part of it was the credit repair companies, or it was the person not doing what the credit repair companies requested you do. And you know what's better than that? Going out and getting a debit card or a credit card that's paid, prepaid credit card,
secured credit
and start using it the right way and building down your debt and doing a couple other things, and voila, your credit gets up to a point where you could afford to buy the home. So that's what I love about the Florida Talk Real Estate team, is that we can do all of that at one time, and it's awesome. So just give us a call. We're here for you. Another person that we just helped out, very interesting case. Last week, you weren't here, Mike, but right after the show, I had to pack bags and go really fast because I had 5 properties to show to Daniel and Lynn.
Okay.
Daniel and Lynn were working with Mike to get the mortgage, and they were in contract for another house, so we were having some construction problems with it. So we backed out of that deal, and then we decided to go look for other properties. We went and saw, we only saw 4 properties last Saturday. Loved one of the houses, got it into contract by Sunday, had the inspection on Monday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. That's right. We had because the contract was formally executed on Monday. Had the inspection on Wednesday. We had a little glitch in the inspection. The sellers are on top of their game. They fixed the glitch like in 12 hours.
Like that.
Right? Like,
nice.
Boom, done.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're on to, and I'm going to say this live on air.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike, order the appraisal for Danielle and Lynn. Now we're up to the appraisal part. So Mike's going to be ordering the appraisal. Yep, one week. And they went from renters last week with not knowing where they're going to live, and they can't wait to move into this house. They're so happy
that's
with
awesome.
the house they got. It's a really nice house.
I love it.
And the family that's leaving is an AT&T guy, and he's moving to the home headquarters for AT&T, which is Dallas. I didn't know AT&T was based
Texas,
in
right?
Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So he's moving out there because he has headquarters, called him back. Great family. They only bought this house 18 months ago.
Oh,
So they just put in a brand new kitchen, brand new AC, did some work on the house.
Oh,
Thought they
geez.
were going to live there for a long, long time.
then life
happened. So
Mhm.
now Daniel and Lynn are going to be the recipients or beneficiaries
Yeah.
of that work. So I can't wait. Congratulations to them. Very happy for them. Also wanted to thank Lorraine. Lorraine is putting a house on the market with us in the acreage. It's a 1.36 or 1.37 acre lot. I love this lot. It's not far from where you live, Mike.
Yep.
But the whole property is fenced. But more importantly, it has vegetation all around the borders. And
Yeah.
when you walk into that lot, you don't know you have a neighbor anywhere. If you love that lifestyle,
Nice
it's
and
like you
private.
don't see anybody. And it isn't just a bunch of areca palms lined up to block it. They have Florida scrub,
Old growth,
cabbage,
natural.
cabbage palms and things like that. It's really, really awesome. It's got an outbuilding. It's got a 2,000 square foot outbuilding with 600 square foot extra 600 square foot covered carport. The house is a
Wow.
2-2, 1,100 square feet.
Jealous,
It'll
right?
be on the market. We
Yeah.
just shot the photos on Friday or Thursday. It's such a blurry week. And I think by next Thursday, that house will be on the market. So if you're looking for a detached building, this is going to have 200 amp electrical service. So if you need something like that for your business, the person that owned it was using it for their metal fabrication shop for their personal business.
Yep.
So
Like a machine shop.
yep. So if you're interested, let me know about that. It's a great property. Plenty of room to either expand the house.
And it's
You
a
could put
huge
on a
outbuilding, right? Like, and it's tall. So
2,000 square feet.
if you were like a car guy, you could put
It's
a
got
car
5
lift in there.
bays. It's got 5 bays.
But you could put like a lift in there.
Mhm.
Like it's
for sure. You could put 2.
2 of them.
You could put 2 for sure.
Yeah.
And 1, 2. Yeah, you could put 2 for sure. Because 2 of the bays, the doors that open up in the back, there really isn't any room in the back to do anything. So those bay doors in the back don't work. You know,
Nice.
they work, but they're not.
Could start a second
Yeah.
business, like a
You could.
a quickie lube type thing.
And
Or great
not
for
like your
a
house.
landscaper, or a business, something like that, where you need inside storage like that for your trailers and your equipment, and you got to work on your equipment.
Yeah.
Having a
Or if
a
you're just
outlift and things like
just
that.
got a bunch of toys.
we
Mhm.
had a guy
That too,
named, we
yeah.
have a guy named Lee who's a big fan of the show and calls us up a lot. And Mike, you helped him. I think you helped Lee get the loan for the house over on.
Lee A?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
Sure.
Lee got the loan with
Holler for
Mike,
Lee.
and then we helped him buy, and they used Trident and they used Ross. And Lee owns a garage installation service.
Mm.
So he needed an outbuilding, a big outbuilding to put all the garage doors and everything that he puts in for the new construction. And this is the same type of setup over here. So it's a really great opportunity for somebody. And let me tell you, I've showed it off market like 5 or 6 times. And like 4 or 5 of the people, they just didn't want to leave the lot. And the house is, the house needs some TLC.
There's
That lot is really, really
like
special.
in the acreage and in locks, you'll see a lot, especially the newer homes that have been built or being built. They kind of go in and clear out the lot like completely, and then maybe leave select palms or whatever. And it's, in my personal opinion, you lose a little bit of the charm
The
of
value
the
of the
acreage
house, I
and the
do.
lock's life.
Mhm.
Right. I don't know about value in the home, but it just like I much prefer those lots that have old growth on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Where it's
exactly.
just not a lawn, right?
Mhm.
A big, acre and a third with a house and a lawn. on it,
I agree.
right?
Natural fencing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Natural privacy.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to get that one on the market. And then just a couple more guys. Greg and Diane, we talked about them last week. They're putting up they put up since last week. On Thursday, we put up their house for sale. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a den. It's got a pool. It might be 4-bedroom, 2. I'm getting confused with Lisa, but
When you say with a den, what does that mean? Like a 4th bedroom potential?
it could. This one doesn't have a closet in it, so I'm calling it a real den. But it's actually like a room off the master
Office.
bedroom,
Oh,
which is kind of nice because if you just want to get away from the kids for a little while, you can go in the den and just
Office.
shut the door. Yeah, and you have
Yeah.
your little office there.
Mm.
But this house is in Coral Springs. It's called Country Club Estates, but it's not in a country club, right?
Okay.
There's a golf course in the community, but you don't have to join. No HOA. They have all these upgrades on the house, and
Country club.
a really nice house. I love the house, and so they are seller buyers, so they're going to be selling their house using the proceeds from the house to buy the new home.
Yep.
So we put their house on the market on Thursday. We already had, as of yesterday, we had 5 showings scheduled. So in
So
36 hours,
right.
we had 5 people coming
Mhm.
out to see the property. And while people were looking at their property yesterday, we were out looking for their new home for the first time. So we went out and looked at 4 or 5 communities together yesterday. When they don't know anything about Palm, and they've lived in Broward for a long time. So the first couple of times when you go out with people like that who don't know the area, my first thing is let's go and we're going to go look at houses, but really we're looking at communities.
Yep.
And figuring out, because this is going to be probably their last home. That's their
Yeah.
plan.
Like, where's your grocery
Oh, so
store? What's the restaurant life like?
They were looking to downsize a little
Yeah,
bit.
they're
If I remember right.
downsizing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it.
They're
Okay.
downsizing.
Right.
So they wanted to make sure that the community's the right thing. They don't want an HOA too high. They don't need a robust community where you have all the activities and everything, because they're not going to do that. But they want a well-kept community. They'd prefer it be gated. We went to 4 or 5 communities yesterday. What they learned was yesterday, some of the communities, the houses were too close to each other, and it
Yep.
just felt a little cramped, and it wasn't their style. A couple of the communities they absolutely loved. There is one house they absolutely loved, but their house isn't even close to being under contract yet. So I put a little nibble out to the realtor saying, we really like the house, but they're concerned that the roof is original, but they love the community. I was hoping the realtor was going to give us feedback. It's like, hey, we're motivated. Let's try to work on the roof. But they haven't responded to
You
my
got
comment
nothing
yet.
back?
Got nothing back. Not
Interesting.
even thank you for the feedback. And with that one, I even sucked up to the realtor because I did it in the Showtime Fieldback thing. So when you show properties as a buyer's agent, you usually get feedback automatically once you show the property from this company called Showing Time, which organizes the showings for properties, and says, hey, Mike, can you give us feedback on the property? Then the questions they ask, is your buyer interested or not interested in the property? How is your overall experience of showing the property? How would you rank the property from best to worst, 1 to 5?
Okay.
And are you guys, let's see, and then additional comments. So what I put in the additional comments, we really love the community, really love the house, very concerned that the roof is original. And I wrote, you have a great realtor, which I never do, because the buyers are going to see, the sellers are going to see that feedback. When you type in the feedback on the email, the agent gets it and the sellers get it automatically. So I was kind of
It's a little
sucking
warm, fuzzy
Yeah.
feeling. It's like,
she hasn't
this-
responded. She hasn't responded, but anyway, maybe
Now,
that'll
do you
come
know
back.
the agent?
No, I don't.
Oh.
So I just threw it out
You're just
there.
sucking up.
Well, she was very good about getting us into the house, and that's why I said I wasn't just sucking up. We had a problem with the timing and everything, and she rescheduled her personal showing for the property.
Okay.
So that we could get in, and I thought that was awesome that
Nice.
she did that. Finally, also we put another house on the market last week in the same day as Greg and Diane. It's Rick's house. This is a log cabin home in the acreage, and it's on like a 1.2 something acre lot. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house with a pool. It's got an outbuilding. The outbuilding has an oversized 1-car garage. It's very oversized, but it's only a 1-car garage door. He's using it as a workshop. It's a pretty nice workshop. I'm jealous. Then it has another carport in that building. You could definitely fit like a trailer or something in there if you had like a lawn service. And then it has a 1-1 that's being rented out by a couple right now. They've been paying month to month. They've been paying on time all the time. They'd like to stay.
Is that a detached 1-1 or is it inside?
It's detached, right? It's
Really?
part of that building.
So it's
right?
an ADU.
It's a detached building. It is. I don't know if it's all permitted. Okay, that's the one thing.
Yeah.
But This is what I'm going to do right now, just for the heck of it. I'm going to go in because I wanted to do this yesterday, so bear with me here. I'm getting into the MLS, and I'm going to type in log cabin homes and find out how many log cabin homes are for sale in the whole South Florida area. Right? How many homes do you think?
Now, when you say log cabin home, is it really a log cabin home, or is it like a log cabin facade on frame or block?
No, this is a log cabin home. It's all wood interior, wood floors, wood ceilings, wood walls. It's got the log walls, but the second story, it's got like T111.
Okay.
So the first story is real log. The second story is more like T111.
Cool.
And the outbuilding is T111, no log. Now, it has a pool. It's got that detached building. And if you keep the tenants, there's income coming in. The house needs a little TLC, but it has impact windows. They just put impact windows in the place. And the roof, I think, is 20. Don't hold me to this. I have to look at the notes, but it's 2019 or something. So the roof's newer. You got impact windows.
Yeah.
Does need some siding work and stuff like that, but the house is in really great shape. And the person that's going to buy this is the kind of person that just loves log cabin homes. You know, that's why he bought it, right? Rick bought it because he loves log cabin homes, and he's just like, yeah, I want. And the lot, he also has a really great lot. One of the things I love about his lot, there's all like these little details that just feel so country. He's got like I'm calling it a 1913 school bell, those old cast iron bells that you pull the string and it goes ding, 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 ding.
Like a dinner bell?
Yeah, but like a school bell, more robust, like a big school bell. I used to have one at my old house.
They were electronic when I was in school. You would hear dong, over the speaker.
But these are like stuff you get at the swap shop and stuff and flea markets.
Back when you were in school.
Ring
the bell.
Yeah. So anyway, he's got one of those yards brought back to my house. He has like this little place he has a fireplace in the log cabin home. So he has like a little shed for the logs, for the wood, for the wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then his shed to put his like lawn equipment in and everything. It looks like an outhouse. Right?
Oh, okay.
Isn't that cool?
I see. Yep.
So he has
Wood
like
planks.
all these like little features, and the whole place is gated, and it's electronic gate fence.
That's nice.
Which
Don't
is
have
really
to get out of the vehicle.
Yep. And
is this listed or it's coming?
No, it's on the market right now, and we're one of 5 in the whole area that are
log cabin construction.
Oh, actually, no, there's only 3 because 2 of them are called log harbor condos. So 2 of them are condos, so that doesn't count. So we have 3 log cabins in all of South Florida for sale. We're one of them. We are also the lowest price of the 3. So if you're interested in a log cabin home, you got to give me a call. I'd love to show you that property. And
even if you're just curious about it, right?
Yeah. We had an agent that was going to come out today to preview it, but we had a logistical problem, so they're going to come out later. And she was just coming to preview it because it's, log cabin homes are kind of rare. And I didn't know there were only 3 in the whole area. So, and I didn't know we were the lowest.
Challenge from an appraisal perspective.
It is, Mike, because I talked to AJ about this, AJ Holman from Experienced Appraisers, and I talked to you, and AJ said that you don't have to use only log cabin, Mike, but you have to include log cabin or they won't take the appraisal.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Speaking of this, I had 2 calls from AJ and another appraiser, and if that appraiser is listening to me right now, I am so sorry I have not called you back, and I don't remember your name, and I spent over an hour looking at my emails to find you so I could call you back. Remember last week, Jimothy, we were talking about no heater in the house.
Oh yeah, somebody put in a new AC unit
and didn't put the heater in.
Heating element wasn't in the air handler portion.
Yeah, the whole blower part or the motor part for the heater, they put in a new AC, but they didn't put a heater in. And this person was FHA financing, so I said on air, you have to have heat for
And
FHA
AC.
financing. And everybody's like, everybody was like, really? Heat? I can imagine that you need heat.
Right.
And we were all talking about it. I was like, no, you need to have heat. And then the appraiser, and thank you so much, he sent me a very detailed message with he pulled out all the factual stuff for FHA.
Right.
and it said Palm Beach County is one of the few counties in Florida where you don't have to have heat.
Oh, so there are because even though FHA being federal, right,
Mhm.
the big part of that, so it has to cover most of the country, which you do need and required heating, but because they made special sections of the country, in this case, Florida, South Florida, where you don't need heat. That's I can understand that. I
Yeah,
can see
that
why
makes
would
sense.
be,
So
yeah.
I had a factor, so I want to own up when I have a factor. I want to let
Mhm.
people know we made a mistake. So whoever that realtor was, thank you so much. And here's the funny part. AJ, he doesn't always listen to the show, but I guess he listens when he's driving around or something, like the
Right.
reruns on iHeartRadio. He sent me a message like 3 days later.
You don't need heat.
You don't need heat. He was like, you don't need heat. You're wrong, Jim. You know, I hope, and AJ gets so afraid that if we make a mistake, we get in big trouble. So
Is that did he specifically say so Palm Beach? So is it a county?
Yeah,
So-
it was
so
counties.
it went by county,
and
so,
it was more than just Palm Beach. I think it stayed Broward, Palm Beach for sure.
It's probably just like what's required for the area. So I'll give you an example, like FHA, when you're on well and septic, right? Like they have certain requirements. And so
right.
that would be a
make sense.
national thing. Like if you're on well and septic, maybe you have some water testing required, maybe some septic inspections, things like that. So I could see them saying like in certain regions where the average temperatures are whatever, we don't require you to have
Yeah,
heat.
that totally makes sense.
Also, like central air isn't the requirement, but you do have to have some mechanism of controlling the AC, right? So like window AC is fine, or those mini split units are fine, but you do have to have some mechanism to cool the house.
Mhm.
Probably, I would imagine. You know what would come to my mind is how many days of year it averages below freezing.
Yeah,
because obviously, if that happens,
That's
then
probably
you
true.
could have pipes burst, and that's really part of it. That and you have to have heat. Otherwise you can have a life threatening situation there. Another thing that might be regional to radon, something we really don't hear about too much in Florida because it's not a big deal. But I know the area that I came from in New Jersey,
big
that was
deal.
huge. You had to have a radon inspection. So just another element of something that could be with FHA that's regional.
Yep, it's for sure.
so it says you must have heating adequate for healthful and comfortable living conditions. So then that's like the general guideline. So then they must dig into, okay, well, what's comfortable?
Yeah,
So if you don't need heat,
What's the definition
like
of that?
is a layer of clothing going to satisfy your comfort
Right.
requirement?
Interesting.
Hey,
We're doing the electric blanket.
let's
got
go.
cold.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then Mike, what we're going to talk about next is what's going on in the market. You and I haven't really talked about that in a couple weeks, so let's just go into mortgage rates, what's happening in the future, and some other things I've noticed that's happening in the real estate market right now. Pretty interesting stuff. We're going to do that in 2 and 2. I've been watching too much Love Connection lately.
Yeah, Chuck Woolery.
Chuck Woolery.
There's a blast from the past. Yep. 877-927-6969. That's your way to get in touch with the show live right now on the air at 92.1 and 101.7 on the Treasure Coast. You got a question about mortgages? Well, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about that right on the other side of this break here on Real Radio.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. Here's the latest with weather on Real Radio.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with CBS 12 News. Mostly sunny today with temperatures in the low 80s this afternoon with an onshore breeze. Then a few passing clouds tonight, still mild with temperatures in the 60s by Sunday morning with a chance of patchy fog. Warm through the end of the weekend with afternoon highs in the low to mid 80s by Sunday afternoon.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Tap into your well-being with Audible audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Expand your life with expert insight and motivation for better health, habits, relationships, finance, and more. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DiPaola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DiPaola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's you.
Hey, that's us. That's the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the #1 information provider of all things real estate, and hopefully with a smile and a couple laughs along the way. We've got Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm here. Hey, Mike.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
That's awesome. And we got Jimothy here. Hold the fort.
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to be with you on a Saturday.
Good morning. Bright, sunny Saturday, not too cold. Sorry Johnny isn't here today. He will be back next week. Ross will be too. Can't wait to have him back. I was just talking a little funny story. I'm going to just wrap it up real quick and make it faster. But we were talking about a fact error I had about heat or no heat for FHA financing in Florida. And when I was a journalist, my first couple weeks on the job, I got this supposedly big scoop of the national FBI crime stats that come out every year. And back then in 1987, because that's when I started, they were just came out in a book form. So they were like 4 or 5 inches thick. And it was every reported crime in the United States based on city, county, zip code, and broken down. So my editor said to me, hey, find the top 10 most crime-ridden cities in Florida. We're going to run a front-page story about it. So I'm a young reporter, and I suck at math. So now I'm doing statistics on the FBI crime reports because they didn't give you what ranked worst.
They gave you
the stats, and you had to interpret them.
So you had to go through and for each city just
on
tally
deadline.
up?
Yes, on deadline, right? So, and I didn't ever do this before, and this is something they do annually, but I was the guy to do it. And it was a big responsibility. I was happy to do it. But so I put all the paper. I came out with my top 10, got on the front page, made the state wires, the national wires, and then I started getting the phone calls the next day. And long story short, I had the right top 10 most crime-ridden cities in Florida, but not ranked correctly. So number 1 in my ranking was really number 4. The number 3 was number 1. But let me tell you, that was a big deal because all the cities started calling up. We're not ranked number 1. We're not ranked number 4.
Representatives of the cities,
all the city officials were livid.
I get it.
So
Okay.
I actually was really upset. I was crying. I was crying in the newsroom because I was so upset. I had this factual error, and I went into the lounge to try to compose myself. And this old grizzled reporter who had been around forever, who smoked cigarettes like a chimney, he comes in to the lounge and he's throwing money in the vending machine to buy a soda or whatever. And he hears me sniffling like a little kid in the back of the room. And he turns around, he goes, "Hey, kid." And I turn and look at him and he goes, "Never get upset about something that costs a quarter." Because the newspapers back then were 25 cents.
Sure, yeah.
So the way I look at my fact error today or last week about the heat, no heat, radio's free. It doesn't even cost you a quarter, right?
Hey, listen
So,
to this.
sorry,
While you were talking, Jim, I just had AI compile a list of the top 10 crime cities in Florida.
What did they have?
I got it right here.
What is it?
You want to hear the cities?
So number 1's going to be
now. Hold on. This came from. This is just 30 seconds in the making from a chat style AI. Okay,
so it's either. So I'm going to guess Miami, West Palm, or Jacksonville. Number 1.
Florida City.
Oh, Florida City
is in Miami-Dade.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's number 1.
Okay.
You really want me to go through this?
Go to the top 5 because we have somebody.
We do. We have somebody on.
Okay, we're going to take the. Let's take the caller. We'll come back.
Florida City, Lake City, Orlando,
right?
Talley, and Gainesville.
Talley.
Wow.
Oh, Gainesville. That's the one that I ranked number 1, and it wasn't.
Oh,
and they were so mad at me because they ran that story on the front page, and then they had to do a front page correction the next day.
Man.
I was
West Palm Beach is not in the top 10.
The
Miami
police
and Fort
chief would be
Lauderdale
real
are.
happy.
Yeah, you're Miami.
So
There
who's
you
on
go.
the phone, Jimmy?
So we have Jay on the line, and he's a great segue into our conversation because we were going to talk about mortgages, and he has a question about a mortgage and then some roofing, roof question as well. But Jay, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate. How you doing today, buddy?
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to listen to you.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Sounds like AJ.
Let's start off with Mike, the mortgage guy, okay?
Presente.
I hear that the Sanctimonious is reducing the 14% interest increase on Citizens to an average of 8% to go into effect in June. How will that affect mortgage rates, Mike?
I wouldn't expect any direct correlation between Citizens premiums and, mortgage rates are more on a national level. But we did talk about that a little bit earlier. So we saw that headline that DeSantis was decreasing Citizens rates, and it's going to be somewhere between, say, 4 and 6% decrease, which I guess, if you were at 14 and you subtracted 6 from that, you end up with 8% kind of increase. But I wouldn't anticipate that affecting mortgage rates, although obviously when you're getting a mortgage, the homeowner's insurance premium is important to your ability to qualify for a loan, right? Because it's part of the question of what payment do you qualify for includes the component of how much is your insurance going to be. So it's definitely going to help. Cheaper insurance gives you more buying power, on the principal and interest part of your loan.
Thank you for that answer. Now, my follow-up question goes to Jim.
Sure.
There's a company out there called RoofMax, MAXX, and they rejuvenate the asphalt shingles on a home.
Yeah. Okay.
How the insurance companies, I know Ross isn't there to answer this, but maybe you can touch upon it.
I can because I ask Ross all the time about these questions. So he's very consistent with the answers because there's always the same answer no matter how many different ways I ask him. Okay, so the bottom line is when you're when you have a roof, whether you're buying a house or you have the house and you own it, and the insurance company feels or is told that the roof might be at its useful life. So let's say you have an original home, you bought it in 1998, and now the roof is, or let's just say, making it up, 1994, and now the roof is 30 years old, and you have a barrel tile roof. The insurance company might reach out to you and say, we believe that your roof is past its useful life. We want you to replace the roof, or we're going to drop you or raise your rate.
Right.
And then what you do is that you go out and you get an inspector to do what's called a useful life report. And if that useful life report shows that you have at least 5 years left in useful life of the roof, you are going to get an insurance policy. You will get one.
Right.
Now, if your roof, so what really matters is that inspection from the person that comes up and walks your roof and decides, is there enough useful life? Now, whether you use a coating to rejuvenate the roof, which I don't know anything about that company, so I'm not talking specifically about companies, but I just had a deal where when the owner had a flat roof, and he told me, I just put elastomeric painting on it like it was a benefit, right? So he put elastomeric coating on the flat roof.
Yep.
And I didn't say anything.
Water seal it?
Yeah, and I didn't say anything at the time to him, but I was thinking, oh my God, that's not a good thing. And the reason why it's not a good thing usually is when you do that elastomeric coating, the inspector that's coming for the buyer to look at the house can't really tell why you put that elastomeric coating on. Was it because it was leaking and you didn't want to pay for a flat roof? So you just like put that on in hopes that that was going to solve the problem? And usually it doesn't, because that stuff fails over time.
Yeah.
And this rejuvenation thing, it really, the only way that that's going to work is if your inspector came out before the rejuvenation and said, you had 5 years useful life, I'm making it up, and then you put the rejuvenation and the same guy comes out and he goes, oh, well, now it's good for 8 years. I don't think that's going to happen in real life, in my opinion, based on elastomeric coating.
Right.
I don't know about this product about rejuvenation, but the bottom line is that, and this is what Ross will tell you all the time, if you get a useful life report that has 5 years or more, you'll get an insurance policy relating to the roof.
Yeah,
so that's all that matters.
I think that's with Citizens is the one that requires at least 5 years remaining useful life, and so if you don't have that, regardless of what's happening, you're going to have to do something.
Yeah, then nobody's going to insure it, because Citizens is the last resort. They require 5 years. Now, the other companies, they require much higher standard than 5 years useful life.
Yeah, it's probably actually a good question for a home inspector, because you could say, hey, listen, I did this treatment, right? Rejuvenation, and here's our receipt, and here's the warranty, and all that kind of stuff. And is that going to sway the useful life, number for the inspector? And so only inspector would know that.
It's like I had somebody that bought, it wasn't through me, but they bought a house and it had a new roof on it. And when they did their inspection to buy the house, what they found out is they put shingle over shingle, meaning there was an old shingle roof, and then they put new shingle on top of it.
Right. They didn't strip off the old shingle.
Most of the time, manufacturers will tell you that if you put shingle over shingle, that you lose 1/3 of the normal life of the new roof. So if your roof is good for, quote, 20 years, you're only good for 14, right? Instead of 20. So if you ripped off the old roof and you put the new roof on, then you get 20 years, right? But if you put the old roof, if you leave the old roof and put a new roof on top of that, the new roof is only good for 14 years. So my thing is, why not rip off the old roof? It isn't that hard, especially shingle. Ripping off the roof is really easy. The shingle roof, it's all it is. It's felt, tin tabs, and shingle, right? So you get a shovel up there, you scrape it off, and you start over from scratch, and then you get the full life of the roof that you're putting on.
I'm sure there's a cost difference, and people look at that. Like if I just want to put a roof on real quick and be done with it.
But when you're going to sell it later, the value isn't there the same as roof over roof. Now the funny part is what this person was told was, oh, this is great because you got the roof over roof. It's going to last even longer because you
Double.
got 2 layers. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
I don't think any reputable contractor would do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's like a normal thing, right? Like, yeah, well,
feels common years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was kind of common.
Really?
Like,
I don't
yeah, it was very
know.
common. People did it a lot back then. I would never do it. I would just save up the money and make up the difference because it really isn't, because the roof is such a big component of your house.
You're also doubling
you don't want
the
to
weight.
cut. You don't want to cut corners on that, because when you go to sell it, people aren't going to. You might think, well, great, I saved all this money by doing it this way, by taking the shortcut. But when the new people go to buy it, they're not going to have the same attitude about that, right? So the value isn't there.
Yeah, plus, you don't know what's underneath. You don't know what the condition of the plywood is underneath. What sort of weatherproofing is under there as well. And if you're talking about a long-term investment for the house, I think that's where you're better off removing any bad wood that's under there, and then resealing it with
New underlayment or whatever.
Yeah, that's secondary water underlayment.
That's
and all
what
that.
I was looking for.
I guess to get back to Jay, to answer Jay's question,
Jay,
I was just going to say, you got to talk to a home inspector, right, to see if there's going to be any benefit from a wind mitigation report or 4-point report.
If you had the rejuvenation.
Yeah.
What exactly do they do to the roof to, quote, rejuvenate the shingle? Do you know, Jay? Are you there?
Well,
I'm sorry.
They just put a guy on the roof, and he's got a pressure sprayer, and it sprays this formula, and it rejuvenates the.
What does that mean, though? Rejuvenate. It rejuvenates. What does that mean? It
It's like
rejuvenates.
Botox.
The granulars,
It's like Botox for your roof.
the granulars on an asphalt. Maybe it puts them back down.
I don't think
adds
so. It
new
says
ones?
here it is
Or no?
a plant-based oil to restore the protective oils in asphalt shingles.
Oh, okay. There you go.
It's designed to be an affordable alternative to replacing an asphalt roof. So
it's much cheaper too.
I'm sure it is.
I'm told.
I'm sure it
I
is, because
wanted
if
to
it was
know,
too expensive, it wouldn't be. People wouldn't use it. I don't really.
I want to know. Well, I want to know if insurance companies will honor that.
No.
And let you.
No, I told you what the
continue
answer is. The answer is, just to be clear, the answer is you're going to do a report, and whatever the inspector says, that's how they're going to react to it. It doesn't matter if you go, but I rejuvenated my roof. Here's the paperwork for me rejuvenating the roof. It's going to come down to the inspector that does the useful life report. And if they feel that there's 5 years of useful life, whether it was rejuvenated or not, then you'll get an insurance policy. If they don't believe it has 5 years useful life, you're not going to get it. So if you get a not useful life report and it's rejected, and then you go to the insurance company and you say, but I did this process to rejuvenate my roof, they're not gonna count that.
And Ross would be the better source for the answer on this one. No, but not that part of it. But if you're asking, Jay, like, if I do this, am I going to get savings on my insurance policy? I think the answer to that is clearly no.
Yeah.
Like, just because you don't get savings for a metal roof over a barrel tile roof over a shingle roof, right? You just need to have a watertight roof. They give, you don't get benefits for that, at least not with the general carriers, right? So savings, no. Whether or not it extends your useful life, that's a good question for a home inspector.
Yeah, and whether it'll extend the useful life in real life, meaning
Also,
like just
is it worth
because,
it?
right? Sometimes maybe it actually will extend the life, but it won't be recognized. And if it helps you avoid that big cost, maybe it's worth it. I'm not saying anything bad about the company, these companies that do this or the process, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
I just know what Ross tells me. I call him all the time and bug him about roof stuff all the time, and he always gives me the same answer, and I don't care. I still ask him anyway. But the bottom line is, Jay, I really would, if you're doing it for insurance purposes, I would be very wary. If you feel like it's a good product to extend the life of your roof and you feel like you're not going to have a leak because of it and you don't want to replace the roof, maybe it is a good option for people.
Yeah, and if you can defer, like if it really does like take the place of a roof replacement for some number of years, maybe it's worth kicking the can down on.
Yeah, it might be worth it. So you have to double check. But I don't really think that it's going to be recognized. as making a difference. They're not going to take, an inspector isn't going to take that in consideration. They're going to look at the roof and the condition it is at that point in time and tell you, is there life in the roof or not?
How much life is left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Does that make any sense?
Well, thank you for those answers, guys.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jay. I hope you have a great weekend.
Good to hear from you,
Looking forward to meeting you again sometime. Okay?
Okay, bye now.
Okay, bye-bye. Now, I wanted to get into the what's
market.
happening with the market a little bit.
We lost, we only got a few minutes, Jim.
Yeah, I know.
About 5 minutes left.
That's
yeah.
okay. I'd rather take the call. So, what we have is mortgage rates have actually gone flat down for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
in
we
a
got
row.
a streak.
Yeah, we had 3 weeks. We got a little bit of a trend here.
3 in a row.
I was actually trying to predict it last night, but I don't have enough information because last year, let me tell you what happened last year, because I think it's kind of interesting. I want to see if we're going to go through the same thing that we did last year. So
I sure hope not.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
Although, even though I think we would say last year was relatively flat, but there was a spike there that we could have done without.
Oh yeah, in November. The
November
spike.
2023, right? I guess.
Oh yeah, that was 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get to January of last year, we were basically at, being a little rough here, but we were at 6.62. That's right. We started the year at 6.62, and we ended the year at. Hold on, just bear with me, 6.85. So we only went up like 0.2, basically, almost a quarter point over that whole year, but that isn't the real story. The real story was we started at 662. We went up to 7.22, which was May. And then from May down to September, we kept dropping and dropping. This is when the buyers should have came into the market last year, which they never did, right? They never really came back the way they should have. But from May to September, that was a really good time to buy in South Florida, across the nation, because the interest rates dropped from 7.22 to 6.08, more than a point drop. That's huge. We don't see that much. So it took us from May to September to do that. And then once we hit September 6th to be exact, that's when they changed. That's when the Fed started cutting the rates. And as soon as the Fed started cutting the rates, the interest rates jumped up. So we went from 6.088.
Yeah.
6.08 all the way up to
a recent high
of 7.04. Right, that was January 16th, 7.04.
So basically, we got that full point back.
Yes.
Or it came back on top of us, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so what I was wondering is last year we had this drop from May to September.
Yes.
Right? So what I'm looking for now for the trends for my buyers and my sellers is, are we going to see that 5 month slow drop continue week after week after week for month after month and see the interest rates go down? We don't have the trend there, but we did have 3 weeks of slight drops. So our high was 7.04 this year, and we are now at 6.89. So it didn't go down much,
Pretty
but
flattish.
it's still, better than going up.
It's better. It's a
Better than
3 week
going up.
downward trend, even if it's not very much. But to answer that question, Jim, I don't. It kind of depends on what the Fed. Like the reason we got down to that approaching 6% last year was a lead up to the Fed dropping a half a point on the federal lending rate, right? So it was a lead up there, but the Fed was like, yeah, that's probably all we're doing, guys. And then all the rates went back up after that. So not a continual drop, and I don't think, like the Fed announced last week, hey, we're not doing much of anything for the time being.
They're very worried about inflation. The job market, the jobs report came out a little bit light. I don't think it's anything to get crazy about. But the unemployment went down a little bit, but the job report was a little light compared to last year.
General economic uncertainty.
It's the inflation. That's the big word. The I word is the inflation. Hey, we only got 1 minute left. Thank you guys for checking in today. If you have any questions, all you got to do is go to floridatalkrealestate.com and reach out to us. You can call us, you can email us, you can text us. You can shout out in a bullhorn, and I may hear you if you give me your number. So just go ahead and do that. We're going to check you out next week, and I hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
some people will. That's
Yeah.
right. 888-973-7828. That is the number to call if you have a question about real estate, homeowners insurance, mortgages. We got the team there for you. And the team just keeps on going and going. That's the number to call. 888-973